Welcome to CBN4 News. I am your presenter, Marisa Stedman. The Minister of Planning, Economic Development and Investment and Parliamentary Representative for the Roseau Valley constituency, COLLIN McIntyre, says like the rest of Dominica, his constituency is facing some major challenges after the passing of Hurricane Maria. He says that he is hopeful that with planning and proper organization, such as has been done in his constituency, plenty can be done to restore the various communities to normalcy. McIntyre went on to give details of the damage done in his constituents.
The thing about the Roseau Valley is Mount Prosper seriously injured from the point of the roof. I flew over Mount Prosper, Trafalgar, Wharton, Wavern, and whatnot. Serious injury and damage to the roofs of the house, most of what we see in Dominica. Cochrane was able to have road, passage, and water #1 in the valley. Of course, we worked pretty fast on that area. I'm happy for that. It took us some time to get to Loda. Loda took a little over a week to get there. A lot of landslides. Lucky for us though at Loda, we had the machine up of offshore marine because they're working at Providence right now and they came down and you had the other guys going out to meet them. So we were able to get Loda moving.
The minister acknowledges that food and water is what is most needed in every household. McIntyre said that concerns over attaining food and water was quickly addressed in his constituents. COLLIN McIntyre is quite satisfied with the manner in which food is being distributed and the level of organization that went into it.
Yeah, the food distribution going very well in the Roseau Valley. I mean, I have a little experience in it. I mean, I must admit in how to move things. I have a number of different committees and persons really, and no politics whatsoever in my program, nothing whatsoever. It's pure survival, Dominicans we're looking at. That's our approach, the entire government. Because it's sad to listen to the stories, from folks who don't live in Dominica, who did not experience what we experienced in Dominica, who are not on the ground seeing what's happening, to talk about food going here, food going there, and politics. That's rubbish, pure rubbish, that dispel that program. And we are using the first week to 2 weeks largely local supplies of food. We were able to, the storeroom at Astafans in Kinfield was very helpful, and they cooperated very well with us, with government, whereby you will send the trucks out there, we tally it, we take food, and we just bring it out to the various communities. Yesterday we were in Portsmouth, and there's a pretty big setup there in the north, in the park house there. And that's where food comes in there and it goes out to the various communities. And we have similar programs in Roseau where you look at Astafans as a big shed and they're selling to us. We'll pay for them, that's it. And that's local food there. Around third week now, which is what's happening now, you have the food coming in from overseas, which is what we are moving it to the constituencies. So in the Roseau Valley and most of Dominica, what we have is committees, and the committees are not made out of just people. Nothing about you select a red, you select a blue, or you select a green, and you maybe get Pappy to be on board with us too. Nothing like that. You put Dominicans on board, we package the food, and we take it out. We look at toiletries. In my program, I took it a step further. I wouldn't just go for food. I'd go for things to do in terms of body care, Listerine, toothpaste, and all the different things that the body requires to keep them healthy as well too. And look at the various supplements that we can use during stress periods. So that's a package of mine too. So you look at body hygiene, you look at cleaning the homes, bleach, the things to wash your clothes, the breeze and stuff like that. And then what we have done now, you have the food items, you look at the Pampers for the elderly, Pampers for the kids, sanitary napkins for the women, and whatever it takes to keep a body healthy and functioning during stress periods. So
the minister experienced his own tragedy. McIntyre recalls having to bury a personal friend immediately after the hurricane. According to him, folks who died were given an immediate burial.
And the damage done by the hurricane to all your funeral homes and no electricity and generators flooded and whatnot, because Maria was not a joke. So you cannot keep bodies overnight. As a matter of fact, with the heat, because after hurricane you have a lot of bareness, there are no trees, a lot of roofs gone, it's hot because the trees cannot absorb the heat. So decomposition will take place fast. So you have a few hours within the day that you have to work during daylight. You're not going to find a man to dig a hole for you now, because unless it's some organized program, maybe in the cemetery, which is happening now. Most of the burials close by around the city, you would have us going into the cemetery. You notice that in one of the public cemeteries, they had to break the wall to get the machines in there to dig the holes fast, because there are a number of bodies we had to get rid of, because of course bodies start to rot. So generally you try to bury the same day. Right now in Dominica, same day burial. So And every time you pass by the cemetery, of course, we're talking about the older folks and folks who are compromised and folks who the stress of it will put them down. So you have to bury same day. Otherwise, you'll have a decomposing body on your hands.
Parliamentary representative for the Roseau Valley constituency, COLLIN McIntyre. Economist McCarthy Marie, who is native Dominican and has been practicing for a number of years, believes that while the country's economy has been hit hard by Hurricane Maria, causing damage to 90% of infrastructure and affecting every sector of our economy, that we can work towards restoration. Murray went on to say that the three major sectors of our economy, tourism, agriculture, and education, has suffered tremendously. McCarthy believes that there are programs in which we can generate funds towards our country's repair.
Because as a matter of fact, that's the only sure source of foreign exchange for the government, because since the working population will lose jobs, less tourists coming in, etc., there will be that much less of the normal taxation and fees that the government collects. So the CBI money is now even more important, because the government now has to spend a lot of money rebuilding infrastructure, which is rather costly. Bridges and so on cost quite a lot of money to do.
Marie went on to add that he hopes that the government has some policies put in place to assist business persons. He suggests that funds generated from the CBI program be used to assist business places affected by the hurricane.
Well, I think in terms of the tourism sector itself, let's just talk about the tourism, particularly the housing sector, is that the banks where the loans are contracted will have to take either a haircut or essentially give the clients basically a 2-year moratorium before they can start paying on their loans again. And the loan which the government had already made available for improvement of properties, I think some of that will have to be put into repairs of properties, And I would assume and I'd hope that the new loans that might be made available for people who want to continue in the tourism business would be at the very lowest rate of interest, somewhere in the 3% bracket. And I think the only source that can finance that is the CBI. So I think the CBI and the rest of the economy very closely connected. And we can only hope that the revenue from the CBI program increases significantly.
And that was economist McCarthy Marie. CBN4 met with Senior Administrative Officer at the Reform Management Unit, CECILIA CARR, who is calling on the public servants to report at the Financial Center in Roseau. 2 representatives from the Human Resource Department are seated outside the building, taking the names, addresses, and personal needs of those in public service who has been affected by Hurricane Maria.
So we are taking all the complaints, writing down the needs of public officers, noting them, and try as best as possible to meet the needs of public officers. To date, we note that there are 3 priority areas that they want help with. 1, tarpaulins to cover their houses, food and water, and food and water. 3 main items. We've been trying to source food because the public service is treated, it receives priority treatment. It's not that we are more than the general public, but as a human resource department, we are looking at as I said, at the welfare of the public officers. So we have a shed has been assigned with food and water, and so based on the needs, we try to meet what is required.
CARR announced that these representatives will remain situated at the Financial Center from Monday to Friday. CARR urges persons from the public service to show and make their requests known. The administrative officer discussed another commendable effort by members of the public servants as part of a cleanup routine.
There's an effort also going out to government headquarters to clean up. So we're receiving assistance to clean it up, and public officers are in the building as we speak, cleaning up every corner of the government headquarters. So we are assisting as public officers. We are doing our part to bringing back some sense of normalcy for work.
CECILIA CARR, Senior Administrative Officer. In other stories, Ross University Medical School, which has been operating in Dominica since 1978, has been a major source of revenue in the town of Portsmouth, especially to vendors, property owners, and landlords in and around the town of Portsmouth. There has been growing concern that the university will cease operation in Dominica, but the Prime Minister, Roosevelt SKERRIT, has assured the public that Ross University in Portsmouth will remain open in Dominica to recommence operations as early as January 2018.
I had a very constructive meeting with Ross University, the president of Ross University, and senior management, and they have given us a firm commitment to remain in Dominica.
The Prime Minister further stated that he will be meeting with property owners and private sector entities as groups and individuals in regard to concessions and to ensure speedy recovery.
And of course, we're working with them to seek to get Ross to recommence classes as early as January 2018. I will be meeting with property owners by this weekend, those who provide accommodation to faculty and students and staff at Ross University, to speak to them and to find out how can we work together to ensure that those properties that were impacted by Maria, we can work together to get them operational the soonest. And I'm setting very early, mid-November, to have all properties in the Portsmouth area which provide services to us to be properly functional, because that is going to be very important in the consideration for the recommencement of classes at Ross University in January.
Prime Minister Roosevelt SKERRIT. Commuters who have been heavily burdened with the growing traffic chaos at key entry points into the city will soon experience a major relief. The Prime Minister of Dominica informed the public that he has contracted the service many minibuses who will transport persons wishing to use the city at no cost. This will help to reduce vehicular traffic in the city and allow for acceleration of major priority services.
One of the things we'll be implementing and we'll announce to the country in next hours is to have the city of Roseau a pedestrian city for the time being. And the government will contract minibuses, and we shall locate minibuses down by the Crazy Coconuts at the gas station area, and also have minibuses down at the auto trade area. So you will park and ride. You will park your vehicles there. We will have buses running constantly. They will be properly marked, so you will know the buses, so you can jump on this bus. It will be free of charge. The government will pay for it, so that we minimize the number of people coming to the city. There are just too many people coming to the city. Emergency people can't get through. People who are here to assist us cannot get through. It is taking people who come to help us from Kingsfield Airport 3 hours to get to the financial center. And that cannot happen, and it's time sensitive because they have to catch the flight back before 4 o'clock. And we cannot get supplies to the communities because there's just too much traffic jam. And the telecommunication services companies and also Dominique cannot get through with the heavy equipment and the personnel.
The Prime Minister further indicated that for things to move much faster than it is currently moving, we all have to cooperate. In other stories, Dominica having experienced a complete collapse of all major systems, the government of Dominica has taken a major blow in regard to revenue generation. The country has been stagnant and money is not flowing in the economy. Many major supermarkets are closed and the country is totally dependent on relief supplies. Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt SKERRIT notes the inability of the country to generate revenue as a major challenge.
We have to appreciate the challenge which the government is under. We have not earned $1 since hurricane, but we have to spend. So one can appreciate the serious fiscal challenge which the government has now and will have in the next months and indeed years.
Prime Minister Roosevelt SKERRIT is also facing a major challenge with complaints from the public. He urged all to take the necessary initiative when necessary.
To this thing. This is not a time or a period for any kind of complaint. Any kind of complaint. Zero complaint. I mean, somebody WhatsApped me about the port said to them they need to bring uniforms and they cannot put uniforms. I said, darling, you know, it's either we shut down the ports or you get uniforms. Because we have to bring a sense of order into the ports and to ensure that we can identify who are security officers, who are port officers, who are customs officers, who are management at the port, so we can have a sense of order and normalcy at the airports if we're to get commercial flights and to create some economic activity in the country. We have to ensure that we minimize the complaint. You know, if there's some alu zinc in the road, do not wait for the government to come get it. Pick it up, put it on the side of the road. You know, do whatever you can. You have a shovel, let's get going. So once we do these things and we remain positive and committed to our flag and to our nation and our people, I believe, and with the help of the international and regional communities, I believe we can overcome this tremendous challenge.
The Prime Minister encouraged citizens to minimize complaints and to remain positive to overcome this tremendous challenge. Stay tuned for more news after this break. Earlier on today, CBN4's reporter Kamisha Dominique met with a forestry officer at the Botanical Gardens where they had a discussion. Let's have a listen.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Maria, the Botanic Gardens is not what it used to look like before. And today I have with me Jacqueline Andre, Forest Officer, National Park, Forestry, Wildlife and Parks Division, who's going to let us know more about how, if there's a possibility of us seeing the Botanical Gardens back to what it used to be before. You have a big task on your hand.
Yes, indeed, yes.
With getting back the Botanical Gardens to what it used to be. But I'll ask you first thing, did we undertake any pruning of trees in advance of Hurricane Maria?
We did a few that, I mean, normally you have to, you know, Botanic Gardens, you need to do that, to do dead and decaying branches, you know, so that it doesn't fall on anybody. And we had started with a small plan to do some beautification of the gardens. As you know, it's not like a crop that you plant today and in a couple of weeks you see things. Things take a little time. Yeah. And we were hoping to do enhancement. In fact, this year on the Capital project, we had lots of plans for the gardens. We had our interpretation center, which did some form of interpretation of the Botanic Gardens and of the other ecotourism sites around the island that we were going to, that was supposed to be housed at our old forestry office. And you know, that has gone.
Well, we know that the Botanical Gardens, they have 1,000-year-old trees, right? Is it 1,000-year-old or hundreds of years old?
Yes. In fact, I don't know, maybe you're too young to remember that we had what used to be the Botanic Gardens as one of the members of the Kew Gardens prior to Hurricane David. And Hurricane David did do a number on us. We lost quite a few trees, and some of them were replaced, some of them we couldn't get to replace. And this hurricane has actually done another number, and as quite a few of our huge trees have fallen, have uprooted, and some of them have stayed. And as I'm sure, as you can see, we're already seeing the green coming back. So I've always tried to tell people that nature can take care of itself. Yes. What we do, we have to manage people, and so we are in the process of like cleaning up. trying to get the gardens organized. We have a team called DAT. They're an arborist group, and they're going to assist us in bucking some of the trees, pruning some of even the standing trees that may have dead and decaying branches, and assisting us to get some life back in the gardens.
What is the plan to get the gardens back to where it used to be? And did you have a storage of seeds, or did you have a bank you can go back to and get the same trees planted back?
I believe that somewhere in the US we've been speaking to a group that's going to assist us, that they do have some of the trees that the seeds that we can use to replant. Then we will speak with them to see how best we can what we can do to get those seeds back. I mean, seeds take a bit of time to germinate, and so you're not going to see the gardens coming back to what it's like in 2-3 years. It takes a number of years for those trees to grow back, because those trees you see here are really trees that from other parts of Asia and the other parts of the world, and they've been there for long before me, So it will take some time before the gardens come back. But we've seen it after Hurricane David that some of the trees did come back, so we still have hope. And as I said, nature takes care of itself, and you can already see the green patches already. So, yeah.
So did we have a tally of the trees? So do you know which trees are still standing, or what percentage of trees?
That's what we did have a botanic guide for the gardens. So what we're going to be doing is looking back to see what trees that have gone and what trees that we need to replace. But our first operation is to do the cleanup, because we want to clean up because it's the only green space in town, and we want to clean up so that people can still come and enjoy what's left of the gardens. So we would like to do all the cleanup, all the loose galvanized, all the fallen trees, and there's no place for the little kids. Rosa is in a little mess, so we would like to bring it back to some form of,
So finally, how soon we may be able to see that cleanup and the full restoration?
It takes time. We have a small team, but hopefully, as I said to you, that is going to try to give us some assistance. We have 2 of them with us right here, and I think a group is coming over the weekend. So we're just and they will work along with our team, and we'll try to see as much as possible what can be done in the quickest time possible. But as you say, there's a lot of material on the ground to clear. So maybe those bakers who probably need wood for their oven.
So would you be storing the wood somewhere? Because I myself was thinking of when a few will run out.
Yes. What we hope to do for some of them, we hope we can get a wood chipper, so we can chip them, because we will need them to put around the base of the trees. Those that can be converted into boards, we will convert them. And those, if somebody like probably prison and the other people who normally after an event who makes coals or for the what you calling it, the bakers, then they can come to access it. So it will help us to.
Well, there is some benefit coming, coming out. So anything else you'd like to add before we close off?
Well, I would just like to appeal to the general public to kind of bear with us, especially the motorists for the gardens. We are doing restoration work, and we would like them to reduce their speed and to avoid congestion, because we're going to be pruning, and branches are going to be falling, so they need to take their time, and we are concerned about the safety of our workers in the gardens.
So when will that pruning take place?
We've already started actually, but next week we will have more, because actually they've stolen most of our tools. Our storeroom was looted in the gardens. We've lost a number of our tools. So whatever we have, that's what we're working with, and we hope we can. We're speaking to an organization who is going to try to provide us with some more equipment. So that again depends on how fast we can get things done. That's the tools. Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Jacqueline Andre here of the Ministry of Forestry, Wildlife and Parks.
Thank you for that, Kamisha. That was Forestry Officer Jacqueline Andre. Now, our cameras rolled in at the Botanical Gardens, the once ever popular, ever beautiful gardens situated in Roosevelt. We're going to give you an exclusive look at how it appears right now after the hurricane. Maria.
I'm standing here on the branches of an uprooted tree, a very huge tree which was uprooted and turned over. I would have been about 15 feet up into the tree if this tree was standing, something that would have been quite impossible for me to do. But as you can see, all around it's complete carnage, complete devastation in the aftermath. Some trees are uprooted and some trees are still in the soil. So it's kind of reminding us Dominicans, that even if some of us are uprooted from where we are, there is still some sort of hope, because there are trees which are still in the soil. And as you can see, some trees have begun to sprout some new leaves. So this is a little ray of hope that we can have, that things will get better. We ourselves can begin to sprout some new leaves or turn over a new leaf in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. My name is Kamisha Dominique, reporting for CBN4, live here in the Botanic Gardens.
And CBN4 is hitting the streets. We want to get the opinions of the general public. Some people even assume that the natural disaster Maria wasn't natural at all. Let's have a listen.
I'm Egbert Lambert. I'm a resident of the Tarish Pit community. I'm one of the people who lost their house up at Tarish Pit and think it was very, very rough with us. I see Hurricane David and so forth, but this one is maybe 3 times Hurricane David. It's very devastated and so forth. Our people are depressed and so forth. But I know we are strong, resilient people. Dominic can come together and we'll build back in no time and whatnot. What we really need now is unity. It's not force, it's not fight and thing. Everybody angry, me have a little angry now and again. But we just have to put that behind and just try to come together to try to see what we could do to bring our country back how it was, and even better of the position it used to be. I don't know, all over you pass is the same thing. I presently live at Point Michelle with my sister because her house didn't get much damage and so forth, so she gave me a little rescue and whatnot. No man is an island, you know, it takes us to really make things together and things. So it's the government, the people, it's everybody, society in the whole to just come together, put all colors aside and just let's come together and think of a way to develop our beautiful Dominica. As I said before, it may take a week or two, but you will see the effect and things, and certainly now you start seeing 1 2 individuals coming out with those sort of effect. Fellas have some aftermath on the skins and whatnot and so forth. Through the way they bathe, the places they bathe or the water they drink. Most of them drink the water without boiling, although the West told us to boil it first before drinking, but you know, some people so anxious of getting their fresh water back, and as soon as they get it, that is it, because most time you have to lift the tongue to go right Lubia in under the source to get a little water. You have to go in the river and they tell you the river is not clean. They tell you have to bathe from not below Buffer State Bridge, the upper part, you know, because it has sewage that escape and whatnot. So it's a lot of things. Health people have to give us a lot of information and, you know, lessons and whatnot, what we must do, what we must not. But certain people doesn't adhere to what's going on. They just do their thing on their own. And whenever it really affects and so forth, some other people get bad name. But if we listen to our health people or people in charge of things and whatnot and do as they say, maybe things could be lightened up and whatnot, man. But it will take a while. But I have faith that Dominica will rebuild and things so. And we'll have a stronger nation and whatnot. Our people, 70,000 plus people I see, we can come together, hands that clap, you know, make things move. So that's all I see. And I just asking the Father to just guide these people. I mean, some people can take it. You understand me? Some people cannot. Ma'am, maybe in another 2 weeks you might find we have a lot of people with stress. So we need the expert, the counselors, to come out and have some session with certain people, speak to them, because people cannot even accept the reality yet. You know, over 2 weeks now since the incident, and to some people as if, well, that's not true. You know, Dominican taking it as a normal thing, but ma'am, it's very rough, it's very critical and kind of thing. It's only the Heavenly Father, you know, so that's what we're just trying to do, ma'am, and I love all you for trying to understand us and work in the verse, ma'am. I see we have a lot of foreign people who consider their place is damaged, and they left their family to come and give us this support and thing. I'm just asking my people to work with them and give them the encouragement, you know. If they ask you to move from there, move from there. If you go to a place to do some shopping and you realize it's line you have to form to get your items, you don't need to rush in and so forth. There's items in the country, as the Prime Minister said, there's a lot of things there. It's just time to get them together so that you could get certain of the items and so. You go for bread, when you watch it, it's a whole heap of rushing. You go for water, it's a whole heap of rushing. But if we take our time and get things together, I believe things can move. It will move slow, but it will move for sure. It's about people that just put their hands together.
Well, what I really experienced, and I experienced it before Hurricane David. But right now what I experience and I seen, it is not a natural thing on the world at all. It's scientists doing their thing to destroy the people, and when they finish, have all their food to feed the people. But me as a Rasta man, I know what's happening in the world. Scientists moving to the new world order. So they have how much people to kill before 2020. Right now in my country, Dominica, how I thinking they sent 2 on me already. And how I thinking is they going to the volcano next for them to erupt in Dominica. They will do it as a Rasta man, I telling it to you. But I have enough people that don't know what's happening in the world, so I want them to know it's scientists that doing that work. It is not from God. God loves his people and he will never do that to his people. So it's coming from the scientists. Food supplies that are sending out now, that is food supply they have piled up for years. So after they do what they do, they can bring it for the people and feed the people. Right now, I don't drink their water. You see the water I drink, the water from my place. Even though they tell me boil it, even though they tell me put something, I put nothing in it. I drink it just so because I know it's natural water. But anything they send for me, I don't use it in my full heart 100%.
And that's all for your primetime news on CBN4. I'm your presenter, Marisa Stedman. Of course, you can like us on our Facebook page or visit our website at www.cbn4.com.